What's up, peeps? It's Al from Exiles back again, and I was going to do this video in a funny American accent because the English dub used the American accent, but I don't think that's a very good idea because I can't hold up that voice for as long as I can. But Super Heavy Samurai got new support in Eternity Code. Well, I say new supports. These cards have been overdue in import for a very long time. So let's just make sure we can get right into it and start off with our 3 Super Heavy Samurai wagon. This guy can change his battle position when he's normal or special summoned, and he can search a Super Heavy Samurai soul monster from your deck just by changing his battle position from defense to attack. He can also attack while in defense mode, and he has 1800 defense, which is very nice. 3 copies of Scales. Scales can special summon itself from the hand if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters and you don't. Also, when it's normal or summoned, you can bring back any Super Heavy Samurai monster from your graveyard, level 4 or lower, that isn't Super Heavy Samurai Scales. So, very nice card to have. 1800 defense too, so it's got a big fat ass. And it's very useful when comboing off with Soul Peacemaker, which I'll go into later. 3 copies of Magnet. Magnet is essentially Goblinberg for Super Heavy Samurais, but it has an additional effect that lets your opponent, basically, it can only target Super Heavy Samurai Magnet for attacks. So if you have 2 magnets on the field in defense, basically you can lock your opponent out of attacking. So it gives you your own sort of little dupe lock combo, which you can mess around with if you so please. 3 copies of Trumpeter. Trumpeter can special summon itself from the hand. It's a level 2 tuner. Can also recur itself from the graveyard if you use it as a tribute summon. However, once you special summon this card, there's a few others that have this clause. For the rest of the turn, you're locked into Super Heavy Samurai monsters. So just bear that in mind. If you're going to get Link Summon or XC Summon anything, just make sure that you do it before special summoning your Trumpeter or any other monsters like this from your hand. Battle Ball is a level 2 tuner. Basically, if the only monsters you control are Super Heavy Samurai monsters, you can target any monster your opponent controls and use that as material for a synchro summon of a Super Heavy Samurai monster, meaning you can bypass the synchro summoning restrictions for all of the high level Super Heavy Samurai monsters just by simply giving them a level 8 Kaiju or a Lava Golem or something, and using Battle Ball to immediately go into Susanoo, or give them a Jizukiru and use it to go into your big Steam Train King. Battle Ball's fantastic. 3 copies of Thief. This is another one that can special summon itself from the hand. However, it has a few different applications. So you contribute it to either destroy a card in your opponent's back row or a card in their pendulum zone, and set both types of cards respectively depending on which one you pick. 2 copies of Big Bulrachi. This is another one that can special summon itself from the hand. Thief has the same restriction as Trumpeter, which stops you from bringing out anything other than Super Heavy Samurai monsters for the rest of the turn, and so does Big Bulrachi. Big Bulrachi's other effect is that it can be treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a Super Heavy Samurai monster. And we play 2 Big Ben K for that reason. So Big Ben K has 3500 defense and 1000 attack, and when it's normal or special summon, you can change its battle position, so that's always good. And Big Ben K grants all of your Super Heavy Samurai monsters the ability to attack while in defense position, so he's a really good guy to have on the field and help your smaller monsters attack. Now, here's 2 Super Heavy Samurai Flutist. Flutist is the level 3, and we're predominantly running it because A, it offers targeting protection in the graveyard, and B, it's nice to have in the hand if you really need to special summon something that you can't get out other ways, like Big Ben K. So that's one of the main reasons, and because it's a level 3, you can use it with Trumpeter to synchro summon the brand new level 5 synchro monster, which we'll talk about when we go into the extra deck. 1 copy of Prep Defense. Now, Prep Defense is semi-run in some things, but it's just basically your protection here. You could play something like Giga Gloves instead, but I prefer Prep Defense because once it's up on the field and your opponent attacks, you can drop it from your hand onto the field, and for the rest of the turn it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, as well as it being another level 3 which you can use to bring out your new level 5 synchro. 3 Soul Peacemaker, probably the best, well, one of the few best cards in the deck. So you have to break this one down a little bit. So you can target a super heavy samurai monster you control and equip this monster from your hand or field to it. And while it's equipped to a monster by this effect, monsters your opponent control cannot attack monsters you control except the equipped monster. So basically, Soul Peacemaker gives the equipped monster a super heavy samurai magnet effect. However, that's not all, because you contribute the monster you control equipped with this card by its own effect to special summon any super heavy samurai monster from your deck. That's any super heavy samurai monster you want. So ideally what you want to be doing is having Soul Piercer on the field and equipping it with Soul Peacemaker, because you contribute Soul Piercer, and Soul Piercer can basically search your deck for any super heavy samurai monster when it leaves the field. That's if it's equipped, anything. Soul Piercer also has the ability to grant piercing to your super heavy samurai monster that's equipped with it. But the fact that it can search means that if you combine Soul Piercer with Peacemaker, as you see here, you can summon the scales out of your deck, and then the scales can bring back the Soul Piercer, and you can then synchro summon with what you searched with the Soul Piercer when you tributed it off with Soul Peacemaker, essentially. It'll all make sense and it all glues together and all synergizes when you play the deck, but as you can tell, the super heavy samurai monsters like this, a lot of them only work if you have no spell or traps in the graveyard. Anyway, moving onwards, we have Soulbuster Gauntlet. Now, this is essentially your OTK enabler, well, one of many. You can target a super heavy samurai monster you control and equip it from your hand or field to the target, and it gains 400 defense. However, during either player's damage step, if a defense position super heavy samurai monster you control battles an opponent's monster and you have no spell or traps in the graveyard, your battling monster gains double its own defense, meaning that you're going to be having some really big guys once you drop this card. Yeah, so it's pretty fantastic. And to complement that even more, we've got Soul Horns. Soul Horns is the only one in this deck that, while equipped from hand or field, can special summon itself. However, while it's equipped, it can also it grants 2 attacks for the equipped monster. So you equip this to one of your big synchros, you combine it with Gauntlet in hand and this, and you're having a good time. You're going to be doing a lot of damage. And we are playing the 1 Soulfire suit. So this one, you can target a super heavy samurai monster you control and equip this from your hand or field to it, and it becomes level 5. So, it's not, that ideal. However, it can help you get into some certain synchro monsters. So, during either player's turn, you can discard it to target any defense position super heavy samurai monster you control. It loses 800 defense until the end of the turn, but this turn it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, meaning this card can protect your most valuable monsters. And finally, we're onto the kaiju lineup. Triple Jizukiru, the Star Destroying Kaiju. This guy is just really huge, and also he's your level 10, which allows you to synchro summon off with him to create your Steam Train King. We're also playing 2 level 8s, Dogaran and Gadala. Gadala is primarily played because it's a wind attribute, and you want to be able to out cards like Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. So just bear that in mind. Gadala is a really nice card in case you're facing any of these horrible wind lockout decks using the new Samur card and the Raid Raptor shenanigans and all that. Now onto the extra deck. One of the brand new Super Heavy Swordmaster Musashi. It's level 5, and when it's synchro summoned, you can bring any machine monster from your graveyard back into the hand. However, unless you control no spell or trap cards in the graveyard, you cannot summon that monster or activate. Sorry, I've completely forgotten. So yeah, you cannot normal or special summon a monster with its name for the rest of the turn. Yeah, so that's basically its effect. And it can attack while in face-up defense position, and I believe all of the Super Heavy Samurai synchro monsters carry this effect. Then we have 2 copies of the Ogre. This one is Harpy's Feather Duster when it's synchro summoned, so yep, that's pretty damn good. It can attack and defense as well, 2500 defense. 2 copies of Stealth Ninja. Stealth Ninja, by halving its own defense, it can attack directly while in defense position, so it can attack directly for 1400. And also, during the next standby phase after it was destroyed, by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it. So it has a lot of recursion. We're playing one ninja. This basically has a quick effect that allows you to destroy a spell or trap on the field and then burn your opponent for 500. So this is your out to some potentially damaging back row cards. And it's a quick effect, so if you go first, your opponent decides to maybe set a back row or set a field spell, you can just pop it whenever they do that. So it's a nice card to have going first. 1 QB. We're only playing this because sometimes you only have access to level 9 and it really sucks. But it can become quite a big beater. It gains 900 defense for each special summon monster your opponent controls. So it can get really big the more monsters your opponent has. So you can drop it on the field and it's just a really big beater to have, just in general. 2 copies of Susanoo. Ideally, probably the best card in the deck next to the train. It has 3800 defense. It can attack in defense position, and it has a quick effect that lets you target any spell or trap in your opponent's graveyard while you have no spell or traps in your graveyard, and you can set it to your side of the field. So you don't need to be playing any expensive back row in your deck or any expensive cards like Evenly Matched or Lightning Storm or whatever, because Susanoo can just steal it from your opponent's graveyard and maybe help you use it later on. So yeah, it's always nice to flex like that. And 2 of the biggest guy, the Steam Train King. This card has 2 effects. So you can discard up to 2 cards, and you can target that many cards your opponent controls and destroy them. It also has the effect to banish all spell or trap cards from the graveyards and burn 200 for each, and it has 4800 defense. Meaning if you combine this with something like Soulbuster Gauntlet, you're going to be attacking for a lot of damage. Not a lot of people can escape Steam Train. Once it's on the field and your opponent's open, that's game essentially. Now to the Xyz monsters. 1 Gigagan X, it can search any level 4 or lower machine. 1 Platinum Gadget, it's a generic machine link monster that allows you to special summon a level 4 or lower machine monster from your hand once a turn. 1 Almirage, because sometimes you normal summon and you really want to get that search off of Soul Piercer and Scales, or vice versa. And then the 1 Union Carrier. Now the important thing to understand about Union Carrier is that although you can equip cards like Soul Peacemakers from your deck to your monsters, you won't be able to use Soul Peacemaker's effect to tribute off because you have to use its own effect, and that is for most other things. The majority of the time you want to use it to equip Soul Piercer from the deck to another one of your monsters, but you'll need to have the advantage on the field in order to get rid of that Soul Piercer first. So just something for you to keep in mind. If that doesn't work for you, always just throw in the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword and lock your opponent out. It's always that. Now, you might be asking, no Sekka's Light. Well, why am I not playing Sekka's Light? I think this is because of my side deck choices I'm going to go into. First of all, we're going to talk about Lava Golem. Boards that are set up right now are incredibly threatening, and this being just a level 8 that you can give your opponent and then be able to special summon a battle ball from your deck and then use it as synchro material as well is just a really nice thing to have. Clear 2 of your opponent's monsters with ease. Then 2 copies of Galaxy Cyclone, if I can just access it here. Now, you might be wondering why Galaxy Cyclone. It's really just because of Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine is probably the deck's biggest crutch, because you're playing a deck full of monsters, and even though you probably won't be seeing it often, Galaxy Cyclone is a really nice card to have the out to that, as well as the fact that it can banish itself from the graveyard, later on to help deal with threats like that. Meaning that you won't have any spell or traps in your graveyard, meaning your super heavy monsters can kick off. And that's the thing. You want to be playing cards that can banish themselves from the graveyard, like Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Albeit you'll probably want to play this first and you'll have the spell in the grave and it can't be banished the same turn it's sent, but later on you've got that backup in hand. You want to play cards like Lost Wind, which can set itself from the graveyard and banish itself when it leaves the field. Cards like Breakthrough Skill, I haven't got it on me at the moment, but that's just something that you can consider. You want to be playing a lot of hand traps in the side, such as Artifact Lancia and your various others, such as Nibiru, your Ashes, your Ogres, your Veilers. And let's not forget the Dino Wrestler Pankratops, because he's at 1 for a reason and he's a nice card to have in any deck. Anyway, that's been Super Heavy Samurai, guys. I hope you have enjoyed the video. This is a really fun deck to play around with. You just use monsters, and it has a lot of weaknesses, you know, but it's a really fun deck to play, and it's something that you can get really cheap. Like, you can play cards other than Uni and carry it in the extra deck. It's not, you know, like, it's not really needed, but it's a nice card to have regardless. You can play anything else you want, bump up the synchro count, do whatever you like. This deck is really cheap, fun, and just test it out online, see how well you do with it. You never know, you might have a good time. Anyway, that's been Al from Exiles, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.